New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev Brz and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And good morning, dear ones. Rev Brz with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And we're a couple of ministers talking shit. Happens every Friday morning here on the New Thought Media Network. And we're grateful to be with you this week. We're going to start off the show with an easy one today, folks. Now, if this is your first time with us, recognize we like to talk about current events and all kinds of fun stuff that goes on here. But we're going to start with an easy one today. Go Abs!
Yay!
There is going to be a party in Denver tonight. I'm telling you, no matter what you like, no matter whether you follow sports or not, the Colorado Avalanche are up 3-1 in their best of 4 game series with the Tampa Bay Lightning for hockey's Stanley Cup. The whole series comes back to Denver tonight, and the way the Avs have been skating, Kadri's back. I don't see how they lose this one tonight down at the Ball Arena, and Denver is going to erupt in partying and celebration sometime late this evening. So we're looking forward to that in some ways. I've already seen things on social media say, please don't trash the city.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's going, if they win tonight, it's going to get live, because I think they moved to Denver. I think it was in 96. I forget when they moved. The team moved here from Canada and won the Stanley Cup that first year, and then they won it again in 2001, and then so now it's been a drought, and they are looking to, celebrate. Which given all the stuff we have going on around the world, I mean, everybody needs a little celebration. That's for sure. To kind of balance out some of the other stuff we got going on.
Just remember, folks, if it's connected to sports and it's mostly white people, what you'll see tonight is not a riot, it's a celebration. If this was a bunch of black folk out on the street to protest something, it would immediately be a riot. That's how you can tell the difference. White folks, it's a celebration. Black folks, it's a riot. And also here in Denver, I said the word riot, so we got to remember the first Pride celebration was a riot. And Denver will be having its celebration and their long-standing Pride Parade here in Denver on Sunday morning. I and my family will be there. I think you might be there as well, Z. There's going to be a whole ton of New Thoughters out on the streets celebrating Pride on Sunday morning as well. So, okay. However, our big story today, and what's probably going to eat up all of our time here today, because this is nuanced. Folks, you've heard us on this program for a couple of years now talking about the need to do something in this country when it comes to gun laws and gun regulations. I can't pass that one up. Colorado knows how to make hard ice. Thank you, Linda. So we talk about guns and the proliferation of guns in this country and what can we do about it? Well, it seems the government's doing one thing in one department and a whole other thing in another department. Z, help people understand what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm still trying to get my head around it. The Senate passed this bipartisan bill for gun laws, right? the numbers were like 65-13. It passed with like 15 Republicans, as they say, joining the Democrats to support the measure. However, we've been trying to find like a bullet point, not something in a list of words of exactly what is being passed, what is being done. And for me, it's difficult. Now, they in my opinion, they are attacking, or they're making this whole stand about mental illness. And I know we've had some shootings by some mentally unstable shooters, but a lot of the shootings in the past have been, it seems to me, about hate. But be that as it may, they got $1 million for millions of dollars to deal with mental health, and school safety, and crisis intervention programs and incentives to kind of bolster juvenile court record systems. Now, and that's a bulk of the bill, and I ain't heard them talk about nothing about guns yet. Then they keep going. Then they say, people between the age of 18 and 20, they have to get a significant change in the background laws and how they, to buy one. And they got the so-called boyfriend loophole where somebody buy it and give it away. And again, I still have not seen anything much about controlling the gun. And that's, for me, that's the part that's interesting. Supreme Court knocked down a New York gun law trying to place some restrictions.
Mm-hmm. That's the one for me that jumps in here really heavily. Is we've got the Senate saying one thing. Okay, they're saying, okay, we want to take some action here, but we're not really sure what we want to do, and we're not sure who's going to, support what. So we're just going to throw up some test flags and see what floats, I think is what the Senate's doing. But the SCOTUS is the Supreme Court. That Clarence Thomas's ruling and their ruling yesterday really makes it tough for any gun control law, I think, to get passed. And the New York governor, Hochul, I think is how you say her name. She's already said, we're just getting started. We're going to appeal this. We're going to come back at this. We think this is wrong. And it would appear that partisan politics are running amok in our Supreme Court, especially on this issue.
Yeah. I mean, this gun control, I mean, you would think, right? One would think, given what has transpired in the last month in terms of mass shooting, not to mention, even now, we have more mass shootings than we have days in the year right now.
Right.
There have been more mass shooting than we've had days transpire in 2022. But yet, when it comes to trying to make some laws to prevent or curtail some of this kind of activity, everybody has got all kinds of excuses in my mind, all kinds of rhetoric about why we can't. Like, they still did not ban assault weapons except for military. I mean, I cannot understand. I'm from the South. I grew up hunting and shooting and all of that good stuff. There was never a case that I needed an assault weapon if I'm hunting, ever.
Yeah.
So why are we telling people, they need it for hunting? And no, it is what it's called, an assault weapon. It is designed to create maximum damage on people in a military conflict. And we talking about Constitution and gun control, and they're talking about militia with muskets, not AK-47s or ARs with a 50 clip cartridge in it.
Yep. And again, our dear friend Linda is saying, while inadequate, grateful that Republican and Democratic legislators are actually talking. Yes, agree with you there too, Linda. Absolutely agree. It is time that these people start talking again, because I'm pretty sure that's what we paid him to go do, is to debate these issues, to discuss these issues, not to stand on partisan talking points and turn a blind eye to the other side. And truthfully, to me, right, we got 65 senators that did vote for it. I think the count against was actually 33 senators that voted against it. That means there's still a handful that didn't even show up to the vote. Those are the folks we really want to bring into this conversation, because for whatever reason, they seem to think that either guns are a good thing or this is just a topic they don't need to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, not in the Senate, but over in the House, the America's favorite gun-toting legislator, Lauren Boebert, from here in Colorado, state embarrassment. I saw an interesting story yesterday. The owner of the building where her gun-themed restaurant is in Rifle, Colorado, is not renewing her lease. And they're losing their lease on their buildings. So even at the local level, there are people that are saying, hey, enough is enough. We've got to make a change. And that change, here's what we know, folks. The change has to start in a consciousness. Now, the fact that we're having this conversation at the Senate level means there is a shift that's happening. We can point to a willingness to discuss the issue. We can point to the fact that the consciousness of the collective consciousness, if you will, of America is shifting away from the hard and an unwielding belief that everybody should own at least a couple of guns and that all this extra gun power is necessary. Truthfully, if you need an assault rifle to defend yourself, I'm not sure how much threat you're under unless the other guy has an assault rifle as well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you're under assault and you need under attack and you need an assault rifle, right? I mean, that sounds like you've done some real bad things to a bunch of people.
Or it's the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, right. I mean, for the life of me, I just cannot see a case other than a military conflict, and then we can go there as well, right? Where any individual will need an assault rifle. I mean, the name should give it away. Assault rifle for their personal use or whatever. Now, of course, the lines start getting blurred if we're talking gun collectors. But even then, you got to prove to me you're a gun collector. You can't just have a bunch of a gun collector collects weapons from different ages, different periods of history, and it's in that perspective. But just to have a bunch of guns, to me doesn't mean I'm a gun collector.
Right. Yes, exactly. And yeah, it's interesting. We've been searching all morning, folks. We can't find the bill itself here. I can find the House Resolution Bill 124, which is different. And in that, there are carve-outs that if it's an antique weapon, if it's on display, if it's been made inoperable, because let's be honest, who wants to get shot by a musket? Nobody. Probably hurts more than a bullet. And so in some aspects, it seems like our government's got the right ideas. If you and our friend Tim Stewart's agreeing, right? If you want an assault weapon, it needs to be disabled before headed to the collection. If you have an old antique that you want as a collector's item to hang on your wall to prove that your family fought in the Civil War or prove your family fought in the Revolutionary War, no problems with any of that. But let's disable these guns. Yeah. Take out the firing pin, take off the trigger, make it so it's inoperable. No, then it's not a gun, right? Then it's art, if you will. We can give you that. I'm still on this one, however, that humanity survived for eons without guns when it comes to hunting. So let's give everybody with a gun that says they need it to go hunt, let's give them a bow, and let's see if you really got what it takes to make it as a hunter. I'd probably go. I don't think I could go out. But we've gotten so attached to shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds, because I don't believe that this is enough to make a difference. I mean, it looks like the bulk of this bill, or a lot of the money in this bill, is going towards, support systems, which are needed, but it doesn't deal with the threat of the gun. And like Linda said, I am very much appreciative of the of the 15 Republicans who joined the Democrats to get what we have passed. So definitely there's some gratefulness there. And hopefully it sets a precedent for us to start looking at issues, not just along party lines, but looking at the issues and the bills and the laws and stuff based on merit, based on what we see happening in the community, what we hear people screaming about. I mean, and when you think about, when I continue to follow this thing down in Uvalde, Texas, and the way it was handled by the law enforcement who had the assault weapons or whatever, and it's like, wait a minute, what is wrong with this picture?
Yeah, I can tell you what's wrong with the picture. Too many guns. They got guns. That's really what's wrong with it. And folks, I just found this, so this might take a minute, but if any of these people are your senators, John Barrasso of Wyoming, Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, John Boozman of Arkansas, Mike Braun of Indiana, Mike Crapo of Idaho, Ted Cruz, oh my God, there's that name, Steve Daines of Montana, Deb Fisher from Nebraska, Chuck Grassley in Iowa, Bill Haggerty in Tennessee, Josh Hawley in Missouri, John Hoven in North Dakota, Cindy Smith in Mississippi, Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, John Kennedy of Louisiana, James Langford of Oklahoma, Mike Lee of Utah, Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming, Roger Marshall of Kansas, Jerry Moran of Kansas, Rand Paul of Kentucky, James Reish of Idaho, Mike Rounds of South Dakota, Marco Rubio in Florida, Ben Sasse in Nebraska, Rick Scott of Florida, Tim Scott of South Carolina, Richard Shelby of Alabama, Dan Sullivan of Alaska, John Thune of South Dakota, Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, or Roger Wicker of Mississippi. Your job today is to call your senator. If you live in any of those states, call your senator and leave a message and let them know that we're embarrassed. We're embarrassed that they can't stand up and be a part of this conversation, that we're embarrassed that they believe we can't have some sort of responsible and wise regulations. Thank you again, Linda, right? Not just well-regulated, wise regulations. The one bill says that the one thing I think the Senate thing says is expanded background checks for 18 to 21-year-olds.
Right.
So at 22, you don't need a background check. At 45, you don't need a background check. We need to expand background checks across the board to every purchase of a gun.
Yeah, I mean, we we have to, I think, begin to look at humanity as a whole in terms of how do we provide protection. We say the Constitution and all this is to provide protection for the citizens. And if that's the case, which it is, then we need to look at some of these laws that were written in the time. I mean, right now we hold that thing sacred and we don't want to change it. We don't want to make, but when we think about when this was written, It's like the times, the environment, the capacity, everything about a lot of these bills do not apply anymore.
Right. Yes. Our founding fathers had a lot of great foresight. And I still will to this day defend that they had an amazing vision for what America could be. I cannot believe that what we're experiencing when it comes to gun violence in this country is what they envisioned.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was written in 1791, ladies and gentlemen. We're in 2022. A whole plethora of stuff has changed since 1791. And that's just looking at just the Second Amendment. God knows what else has happened on some of the background or the information or the reasoning behind creating it. We have to be fair to everyone and to the lawmakers who try to stick to this stuff and just get wrapped around their fingers. We really have to have, I think, a panel or whatever to look at these things and say where they can be amended or where they need to be reinterpreted to fit modern day.
Yes. So in that vein, let's give another shout out. And here's another list of people I want you to call. If any of these are your senators, Mitch McConnell from Kentucky, Roy Blunt from Missouri, Richard Burr of North Carolina, Shelley Moore of West Virginia, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, Susan Collins of Maine, John Cornyn of Texas, Joni Ernst of Iowa, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Rob Portman of Ohio, Mitt Romney of Utah, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania, or Todd Young of Indiana. Couple names on there that surprised me, but if any of those are in your state and your senators, call them too and congratulate them and say thank you. Let them know how grateful you are that they're willing to take a stand and willing to be a part of a solution rather than dig in their heels. And there's a couple of people in there that are really good at digging in their heels. So call those folks too today. Call your senators, whether and all the senators we've listed are the Republicans. All the Democrats already voted for it. You can call your Democratic senator too and say thank you and let them know. I think they do. But we really want to show appreciation to those Republicans that aren't just following the party line and are willing to enter into this dialogue. I really do hope this bill not only passes, but is expanded and isn't gutted in the House.
Yeah,
I really do trust that we are on the road in the first steps. We're going to have to do some stuff at the Supreme Court level because there definitely seems to be some obstruction there. So let your legislators know where you stand on this and where you'd like to see them take this. Because we could be, and I'm going to say again, I'm staying in that place of trust and faith that we are on the doorstep of creating real and meaningful change in how we look at the intersection of mental illness and guns, how we look at the intersection of high capacity assault weapons in our society, how we look at youth and younger folks getting their hands on these types of weapons and what we can do. Because here's the thing, folks, this is America. We can do anything we set our minds to. And if we really want a safe and secure place to live, if we really want to be safe and secure in our society, if we don't want to walk into a supermarket looking over our shoulder or wondering if my church has enough guns at the front door to keep a bad guy away, if we want that, we got to stand up for it. It starts in consciousness, but it also means we've got to do the action. We've got to speak our truth. We've got to call and be part of the legislative process to make this happen.
Yeah. it begs us as a society and as a global system of humanity to begin a conversation, if you will, of what is important to everybody. Having a gun is not important to everybody, I don't believe. Having enough food to eat is important. Having medical care for those who are in need, having a safe place to live uh, are important. And when we look at all of the money and stuff that's spent on these gun control bills and stuff, and then we look at the living conditions of people in this country and around the world, we could shift some of that money, and I would suspect some of the things that people say they need guns for hooligans and whatever would go away because a person has a place to stay, place to eat, and food to eat. I mean, some of these things would alleviate some of the problems that are being used as we need protection against the lawlessness of our other citizens, however they got there.
Yeah. Again, our friend Dr. Tim Stewart brings in a good comment. The Second Amendment says well-regulated militia, nothing to do with individuals. And as far as I know, the only well-regulated militia we have is the National Guard. So if you're not a member of the National Guard in America, then you're not a well-regulated militia.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to think you are, you might want to pretend you are, but you're not a well-regulated militia.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think the Second Amendment, it says the right to bear arms, but we're beyond all of that. It is an antiquated language. It is an antiquated perspective. It's a belief system that obviously no longer serves the proliferation of life on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Other countries have been able to enact comprehensive gun legislation. Other countries have been able to outright ban personal possession of weapons. And their society didn't fall apart. Their economy didn't fall apart.
No, it didn't. No,
we can do it too.
A side note, as we start the time here, the Biden administration. This is off of that topic for just a minute. Some people are going to love this. The Biden administration approved or agreed to cancel estimated $6 billion in federal student loan by people who were defrauded by some of these pay for college, where they made all these claims about we're gonna job placement and the ability to transfer your credit to another established or reputable college, and that didn't happen. And so there's about $6 billion in federal loan debt, for defrauding, and the administration had previously approved $25 billion in loan forgiveness for about 1.3 million borrowers. So, I know there's a lot of conversation about this, but I think, having two recent grads from college and understanding what that costs, and understanding that the average college student graduating, if they get a lot of debt, their extra money is going to go to do just that, pay off debt. I think they say the average student loan debt after college now is like $50,000.
My first is just going in. So la 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 la. I am paying attention, and but I think what we're coming to here, folks, before we do run out of time today, is the federal government is really here to serve the people. And in some corners, in some aspects, it would really appear to me that the federal government is listening. Mm-hmm. The Biden administration is also talking about a federal gas tax holiday. I don't think that's enough, but it's something. The Senate is having conversations and has now passed a bill. Again, needs to go to the House, and but we're having the conversations on gun legislation. So we are making progress. When it comes to student debt, predatory lending, we bailed out all these big banks because of predatory lending when the housing crisis. I'm not sure why we haven't yet bailed out the college kids who aren't kids anymore. Most of the people that are going to be affected by a forgiveness of student debt are not students, and they're not kids. They're working families who are trying to make ends meet and more. So we're making progress. And what that progress points to is that we're changing our minds, we're changing our beliefs, we're changing our thinking around these issues at the grassroots level to begin with. And that's where it has to start. We have to be willing to have conversations with family members who don't believe like we do. We have to be willing to have conversations with the people that fly a flag other than what we might fly next door to us or down the street. We've had our pride flags out this week and various other affirmative unifying flags. And we get a lot of great comments from people walking by, and we get people to stop and want to talk. And that's what it's about, having conversation, being in dialogue with our neighbors so that we can influence our legislators, so we can have that conversation to say, Senator, I really appreciate your support of this bill, and I'd like to see you supporting this bill as well. I'd like you to respond to your text messages when you beg for money. I'd like you to do whatever it might be so that it's our beliefs that we want to let be known. And doing so on a program like this is one way. It's not the only way. So we invite you, number one, share the program, share what we're talking about, and let your friends, let your neighbors, let your family know you're open to the dialogue and to the conversation. We're not here to promote a totalitarian state where, this is not Orwell's 84 by any means, and that's not what we're talking about. But we've got to find a way to make it tougher to get these types of. Again, we know there's no need for an assault weapon, and if you truly feel you need defense, let's not make it so easy for you to walk around waving that defense mechanism in everybody's face.
Right. Yeah. Because I think at the heart of it is we are beginning to realize more and more that the diversity of this planet, from the level of the soil itself up to its people, is necessary for us to have a healthy, vibrant environment, which means we have to talk, we have to understand, we have to analyze problems that we are faced and come to solutions that's going to promote life and not death. And right now we are so stuck in our separate corners, a lot of us, no matter whether it's political, religious, or whatever. Everybody has to be open to change. Everybody has to be open to looking at a different perspective on how we come together or live together, because we're already together as a family to support the environment and the life of all.
Yes, exactly. Folks, we're just about there. Before we go and before we share our final thoughts today, I want to take a quick minute to say thank you to our sponsors and committed givers. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Ministers Talking Shit in just 1 minute.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Yes. Thank you to all of our organizational sponsors and committed donors. Each and every one goes a long way to making sure we can share this mighty message out across the world and into places it often doesn't reach. So, all right, Z, before we get kicked out of here today, because we do have a full day of programming here on the New Thought Media Network, including, real quick, I want to talk about this, a special event today. Later, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, I will be talking with the Reverend Dr. Tim Stewart, Reverend Dr. Bill Marcioni, and I'm sorry I forget the other guest's name. We're going to be doing a highlight program on the upcoming International New Thought Alliance 107th Congress that's happening in Chicago in the month of July. So if you can, tune into that at 1:30 today. Going to be a great program. I'll be back with the good news at 5:30, and Pastor Michael will have, the good news at 5 o'clock, and Pastor Michael Mangus will have the fireside chat at 6, as well as all of our normal morning broadcasting as well. So before we run out of time, Z, final thoughts.
My final thoughts is, and I'm going to do it, and that is, take some time this weekend to pull up that U.S. Constitution with all those amendments, and let's read that thing. Let's really begin to try to see if we can understand what we're supposed to be doing as a country and governing, so that when we speak to it, we can speak intelligently. We can bring up legitimate points so that we can begin to fix some of the things that were not, I don't think they were left out intentionally, and they may be in there, but they may need to be rearticulated to fit today's society.
Beautiful. Thank you. For me, Z said it right before the break. It's all about whether we're working towards life-affirming activities and experiences and a belief system or not. And I'm on the side of, yes, let's affirm our lives. Let's affirm what we're doing. I will also say, please call a senator today, maybe 2. We each have 2. Couple of quick phone calls, and either say thank you, congratulations, let's keep going, or say, hey, we need you on board with this, and we need you on board helping to create the healing in America and to affirm life. On behalf of the New Thought Media Network, we are a couple of ministers talking shit. Until we see you again, we want to wish you peace and richest blessings.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.